Ghana's parliament has passed the Witchcraft Bill, which seeks to proscribe accusations related to witchcraft in the country. So what does this really mean to the ordinary citizen of the country? Apart from that, what does it mean to men of God and the religious society in the country at large? Well, to help me discuss and dissect this particular topic, I am at the Adentam branch of the Action Chapel International, and I want to speak to the senior bishop of the church here, Isaac Clive Mood. Let's keep talking.
Witchcraft is a broad term encompassing various beliefs, practices, and traditions related to magic and spirituality, spell casting, manipulating natural energies, and supernatural powers. It's a very complex and a diverse phenomenon in different cultures and historical periods. It continues to be a subject of study and interest in various societies. And so, depending on where you stand, some believe that witchcraft is their belief, is their practice, is their tradition. And to others, it's very demonic, especially when it comes to the Bible. And clearly, with us as Christians, God gives warnings to even the civil society of Israel that witchcraft should not be tolerated. Now, when you look at the Bible carefully, many scriptures from Exodus 17:11, Leviticus 19:26, Deuteronomy 18:10, God hates anything to do with sorcery, witchcraft, and magic, because the Bible calls it a devilish and a pagan activity, representing two of his enemies, the devil himself and those who follow him. So God's civil laws for his nation Israel even prohibited any involvement in witchcraft activities. So as from the biblical point of view, God condemns it outright. Number one, he condemns enchantment. Two, he condemns observing times. He condemns divination. He condemns sorcery. He condemns charmers. He condemns necromancy, Deuteronomy 18:11, 1 Samuel 28. He condemns familiar spirits. He condemns astrology. He condemns stargazing, Isaiah 47:13. He condemns monthly prognosticators. And he condemns witches and their craft. So from a biblical point of view, God condemns wizards, that is male witches and so on. So Paul also listed witchcraft work in Galatians 5:20. You see that in the New Testament, Paul condemned it. John listed sorcerers as ejected from heaven and sent to the lake of fire, according to Revelation 21:8 and 22:15. Sorcery in the case of Simon at Samaria showed a very evil heart, according to Acts 8:9. And you can also look at God's greater power that blinded Bar-Jesus or Elymas, the Jewish sorcerer. Paul cast a devil out of a girl in Philippi who was a diviner or a soothsayer. And how in Acts 16, 19 and Acts 19, how converts at Ephesus burned their books about magic and so on and so forth. So from a biblical point of view, witchcraft is something that God abhors. And even if he talks to civil Israel to abhor all these forms of witchcraft, Paul also showed it, John showed it, the New Testament showed it. So clearly from a Christian point of view, we abhor witchcraft. Now, what we are dealing with is three things. When I listen to what happened in Parliament, I start from the back. Some people even denied the reality of witchcraft. Some think it's superstitious. Now, that is the ontological perspective of somebody. When I say ontological perspective, I'm talking about the philosophical belief of others concerning a matter or concerning a reality. The realist will say that there is another reality beyond human experience or beyond what a human mind knows of. Others also believe that the relativist also believes that everything about reality is socially constructed. It's human beings and their experiences that have espoused some kind of concepts like witchcraft, and many other things like that. So there are realists who believe that there is a knowledge beyond human understanding and what human beings know about. And then some also believe that it is socially constructed. And that is why somebody would have the privilege and the luxury of saying that it is superstitious. But those of us who have been pastors over that time, I think I've read some scriptures, it's in the Bible. My personal experience tells me that witchcraft is not a hoax. It's not a sham. Witchcraft is not something, an illusion or an abstract thing. It is a reality. It is actually a practice, the tradition, and an activity practiced by people in simple terms. And to them, it's nothing. But the one who looks at it from a biblical point of view will call it demonic. So it's a very complex socioeconomic, and religious challenge, phenomenon, and one has to look at it. Now, one thing I also saw was the criminalizing of labeling those who label people as witches, the accusation of witchcraft and all that. Personally, from the point of view my point of view is whether it causes any harm. Now, when you look at Section 69 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act, Act 29, in other words, 19360 Act, we have things like causing harm with intent. Section 75 of the Act also talk about threat of death. 277, Section 277 talks about causing fear and alarm. And Sections 191 and 201 of the Criminal Offences Act also deals with defamation. And I'll read this verbatim. It says, of the Criminal Offences Act deals with various forms of defamation. This provision might apply to cases where false accusations, the question here, or the subject, the key word here is false, accusation of witchcraft are made, leading to harm or damage to an individual's reputation. When it happens that way, it is important to emphasize that the Criminal Offences Act aims to protect individuals from harm, including harm resulting from witchcraft accusation and also beliefs. However, specific provisions related to witchcraft accusation or witch hunting may be addressed in other laws or regulations, and it's crucial to refer to most recent legal sources to get a comprehensive understanding of the current legal landscape regarding witchcraft in Ghana. Now, criminalizing witchcraft allegation can have both positive and negative implication. Now, my argument is not to give a stand. I'm a pastor, and I've given my stand that God abhors it. Whatever God criminalizes it, whatever God criminalizes, I also criminalize. When God says we should decriminalize, I will decriminalize. And I'm also looking at the context within which we live our lives, where law regulates our deeds and our behaviors. And so criminalizing witchcraft allegation can have both positive and negative implications. Proponents argue that criminalization can protect individuals from false accusation and resulting harm or violence. It can also deter witch hunting practices and promote the rule of law, which I agreed to that. And I agree to this fact that sometimes it is a spiritual matter. It is very difficult to determine who is a witch and who is not a witch. But there is witchcraft. And sometimes the way we do it in Ghana is causing harm, defaming somebody, making somebody look bad in the mind of right-thinking people, and then beating people, lynching them even to death. I don't think, though the Bible says that suffer not the witch to live. I mean, in our civil society today, one has to be careful. The reason why I'm saying this, that I've had an experience where a woman was demented. When I say demented, I mean she had dementia and started talking anyhow, and it was a mental disease in a form. And so the woman started speaking as if she was a witch. As a matter of fact, she was not a witch by biblical definition. And if there's a formula to determine witchcraft, I don't think she was found in the equation. Yes, he had a physical ailment like dementia and started talking. Immediately, she was labeled as a witch. Immediately, she was accused as a witch. And the consequences was that he was lynched, beaten, in other words, beaten, maltreated, to the extent that maybe sometimes some people die, some people are well wounded or harm is caused. Now, criminalizing witchcraft, I've given that there are two proponents to it. Those who believe in the criminalization of it, that it will deter people from accusing and people from labeling and its consequent harm on people. And others also believe that it infringes on some cultural and religious beliefs by others. But as a pastor, God hates witchcraft. And therefore, I hate witchcraft. And now those who don't believe in the reality of witchcraft and they think that it's just a socially constructed phenomenon or belief, should sit up and know that witchcraft is real. But the question is that we must be careful how we accuse them and label them.
So how